Hello everyone, BlackWitchDirah here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am joined by my partner Adversary and we are going to be doing a reaction video. So we will be reacting today to Melinda the Mystic Witch. So I think I've probably wanted to do a reaction to Melinda for a while. You know, she's got a lot of interesting and comedic content. I mean, it's not meant to be comedic, but it is. And we have an ongoing joke, don't we, where it's like, because Melinda has reacted to Atius before and said something. She said something like, "Oh, you're clearly not psychic," and so every time he fails to, I don't know, guess something right, I go, "Oh, babe, you're clearly not psychic." So yeah, she's kind of a running joke. So we're going to be reacting to her content today, particularly her video on Belial, which I actually haven't seen yet, so I'm quite excited to watch this. But before we get into the video, so this video is going to be done in two parts. Part one is obviously on my channel, and if you want to go watch part two, head over to Adversary, and part two will be uploaded on there. But before we get into the video, just a few little announcements really. Obviously I haven't uploaded in about 4 or 5 weeks now, so apologies. I have been traveling, but I am back in the UK now, so yeah, expect the usual schedule with my videos. What's new, I launched a merch site, demonaura.com, which yeah, that launched on Halloween, so lots of occult apparel on there, as well as candles, ritual items made by myself, so go and check that out. The workshop for this month is going to be on blood magic, so if you want more info on the YouTube memberships and the workshop program, I have a video explaining all of that as well, which I'll link in the description. Would you like to take the opportunity to promote what you've got going on?
I mean, I'm offering some occult services online. Shadow work based is the focus. So ritual work. So if you're looking to kind of like open yourself up more, some readings as far as like, you know, divination, things like that. That can be runes, scrying, tarot, oracle. I mean, not so much tarot, but more oracle based shadow work. You know, things that you need to work on. It's kind of like something like, I thought it necessary to kind of create something that helped people work on themselves instead of offering services that forced other people to do stuff. So more like forcing yourself to move your own hand, hence the left-hand path. So that's their custom occult design services. So if you want something for your altar, you want something, you know, just for your home, as far as decor is concerned, I will be taking personalized design requests, and we can talk about what type of merchandise or platform we can put those on. I think it'd be worth mentioning Witch Skills.
Yeah, I was going to say about Witch Skills. So yeah, Witch Skills is, I know I probably haven't mentioned it for a while, but yeah, Witch Skills is still, we're still working on it. Kind of just trying to figure out all like the sort of admin boring shit at the moment. But yeah, we will have a course on demonolatry, which I am teaching. You are teaching Satanism. We have our friend Mystic teaching a tarot course. So yeah, there's going to be a hell of a lot on there. So make sure you're subscribed to the mailing list to stay updated.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as far as things to kind of put out there, I think, yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers that.
Brilliant. We also have a podcast, Adversary of My Adversary, which we do every Friday at 7 p.m. Central?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Central.
7 p.m. Central. So, yeah, subscribe to Adversary to keep updated with our podcast. Anyway, let's get into reacting to Miss Melinda Mystic.
Oh,
here we go.
threaten people and tell them they're crazy if they've ever encountered these entities. What?
Super hyped intro.
Last Frontier Medium.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melinda Lyons. I'm a psychic medium, a near-death experiencer, and a demonologist. Today we're going to be talking about...
Is it just me, or is it like she can barely move her lips? Like, my name is Melinda Lyons. Like, she's very like, I don't know if it's like the Botox or like the ridiculous amount of makeup that she's wearing that she's afraid that's going to flake off.
I mean, I can't say shit. I've had Botox at the end of the day, but like, yeah, I get what you're putting down there, babe.
About what it's like to be possessed. I've actually decided to come out and talk about this because, frankly, it's so fresh in my mind still, and I've neglected to really talk about this to really give people insight to what it's like. I can't speak for other people, so I'm only going to speak on what it was for me in 2 instances. Being possessed is not something like you see in the movies. It is and it isn't. It depends on the demon, the devil entity that chooses the victim and then to take part in the possession. And there's different types of possessions. Possession of an item, how the entity decides to attach themselves to an item, which then makes it kind of haunted or cursed. But they're not.
But would that be considered, would that be a possession or a haunting? Because like an item having an attachment, it's a haunted item, right? It's a haunted object, not a possessed object.
Yeah, I remember I used to look at haunted dolls a lot on eBay, and it's like, you wouldn't call it a possessed doll because the spirit isn't like living inside the doll. It's not inhabited it's haunting. Like, so.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be possessed because in my mind, like if I think of a possessed object, I'm thinking like, you know, child's play, right? Chucky type shit, right?
Yeah.
Like the dolls walking around trying to stab people and stuff like that, right? So yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if that's like would be considered an inaccuracy to what she's saying or misinformation. But I haven't really heard of, like, I mean, I've heard of things being possessed, objects being possessed. But like, so for example, that doll that, and I'm pretty sure she's getting it from this. What's that couple's name?
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
There you go.
The Annabelle doll.
Yeah. They would consider that, said that the doll is possessed. Not haunted. Which I think is ridiculous because the doll doesn't move. Again, for me, a possession is to take control of.
Yeah, and you'd have to wonder what the motive would be for possessing an item over a human being. Because, you know, I would think that, especially from, you know, the standpoint of how people view demons in terms of like, say they have an evil nature and, you know, they want your soul, would it not be a lot more productive for them to possess a human being over an object?
Exactly. All right, let's keep it going.
Inside the item, like dolls, for example, a lot of people think that, but that's not the case at all. That it's more of just haunted. But they're also possessing that item. They're possessing it as theirs. Their property,
Melinda.
which goes also to land. How a demon will haunt and possess a land, which requires an exorcism based on the land or the item, detaching and cutting those cords, getting rid of the entity. But how does that work with a person? I've got so many letters from people saying that they are possessed, and I do not doubt your experiences. I do not doubt your feeling that you feel that you're being possessed. In these instances of possession, for me, what happened to me in recent days, I'm going to give you insight of what that was like. Again, I'm doing this because I want other people to know this is a real thing. This is not based on Christianity. This has nothing to do with your religion or your lack thereof. Demons have existed way before Christianity came into play on this planet. Possession happens because the devil entity or the demon decided to take part in that person's consciousness and their body. And when they do this, they are no longer giving you choice in the matter of what happens to you. You have so little ability to fight this off on your own. And not because they are more powerful, it's primarily because when they do this when a person sleeps, which is what happened to me, you end up in a situation where you're more vulnerable. Because when your consciousness falls to sleep mode, you are left vulnerable. And this is what happened to me. It was frightening. It was horrifying.
What do you think so far?
I mean, it's not like she's chatting absolute shit right now in terms of like, you know, that demons have existed long before Christianity and that possession exists outside of Christianity. Like, she's not wrong in saying that. And also, she's not wrong in saying that you are more vulnerable to spiritual attack when you are asleep. Now, I'm assuming that she's going to talk about the fact that Belial apparently possessed her in her sleep. That I have a lot of... basically, I believe it's absolute bullshit. But in terms of, like, you know, people suffer with, like, sleep paralysis. And, you know, yeah, you are more vulnerable when you're asleep, especially if your astral defenses are low. So far, I can't... There's not an absolute stench of bullshit so far.
Okay.
But I'm feeling this is, you know, it's going to come. It's escalating.
I mean, I've not seen this video either. I mean, I watched like the first few minutes of it, so I'm not sure what's coming in this one. But I mean, there hasn't been a video of hers that I've watched yet that doesn't have something you just go, really? So we'll see what happens. All right, let's keep it going.
Still have PTSD from it. And I'm pretty sure I will for a long time. It happens to different types of people all over the world. It has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with whether or not you were saved from Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's all about the targeted agenda of that entity. It's about what it wants. Your soul vibration, your consciousness, your ability to stop them when you are spreading the truth about them, which is why they did it to me. I, for a long time, doubted when the first time it happened to me years ago. I made a video on that. If you want to see it, you can go see it. It'll be in the description box below. But I've grown so much since that time.
God damn.
The thumbnail. Can you imagine her trying to get that perfect shot of her face, just sitting there going, like, no, I don't like that one. Yeah. How many times do you think?
I mean, it could have been a free shot like this one. I mean,
yeah, it could. Yeah, something I want to comment on is when she was like, oh, she's insinuated that the reason she was possessed is because she's spreading the truth about demons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm assuming that your truth about demons aligns very much so with, you know, Christianity, the fact that they are of an evil nature. Therefore, I feel like there would be a lot more fucking possessions if demons were bothered about what people were saying about them. Mm-hmm. If that's their port of call, that like they go, right, whoever talks badly of us, we're going to possess them. Like it just doesn't make any fucking sense. If you were possessed, that's not the. Especially if it was Belial, you really think that Belial cares what anyone thinks? Like, you clearly don't know Belial if you think that Belial's gonna like be like petty and possess you because you're speaking badly about him, like, do you not think he's got better shit to be doing? Like, it's hard enough for an occultist to make him give you the time of day because of how abrasive he is and how kind of what's the word? He, like, you don't want to waste his time, basically. He's not one to just be like, oh yeah, hey, I'll do this for you. Like, he's not approachable. So to play him off as like this, you know, very petty demon that's just like, you've said some not very nice things about me. Like, it doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't. I mean, so she's saying in the video, she said at the beginning that there's 2 different occasions of possession that she's going to be talking about. So I'm curious if both of them are Belial, or if like there's one and then another, or something like that. So I just kind of want to get to the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
She's doing a lot of, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong as a content creator, but like I think when people come to see a video, they come to get like right into the point of what the fuck it is you're talking about, right? Not to do this dance of going around in circles and, you know, talking about shit that can be in another video for another focus. You know what I'm saying? You know, get into what it was like, get into what happened, you know, like, I don't know. So, all right, let's see. Let's keep going.
But even that situation was horrifying.
That's gone off. Is that okay?
Yeah, it just normally goes off.
Have you got any Pepsi left?
I do. Don't spill that one. All right.
Horrifying because whatever entity it was, I don't know which one it was still to this day, but they were possessing me to a point where I was walking and sleepwalking, and I didn't realize that I was doing it, to the point where I was sleepwalking all the way from my room to my daughter's room, all the way up.
Isn't that kind of like a thing though, when you're sleepwalking, you don't realize you're sleepwalking? Like, I mean, isn't that just like a part of it?
I used to sleepwalk a lot as a kid, and I never knew. I'd be told the next day that I was sleepwalking, like, and like sleepwalking, it's not the most bizarre thing in the world, you know, it happens.
Yeah, but I mean, 'cause if you're sleepwalking and you realize that you're sleepwalking, you're not sleepwalking, you're just walking. like that's not sleepwalking because you're not asleep. I just feel like that was kind of like an unnecessary sleepwalking, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, I mean,
well, you were unconscious, so that's sort of the idea.
Right? Exactly. All right, let's keep going.
Stairs, and it horrified me when I would wake up in the middle of walking. It really did frighten me. And God only knows what would have happened if I made it to a room.
God only knows.
Did she make this off? When did this video?
3 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like she was like inspired by Hereditary. Because you know how like the mum like sleepwalks and then suddenly she wakes up, she's like, what am I doing? So
yeah,
it sounds like that.
Well, I mean, if you listen, so one of the things that I noticed reacting to her videos is that a lot of her content can really kind of line up with films that have come out in that time frame. Like a lot of her original videos and stuff like that did have like a lot of Ed and Lorraine Warren vibe to it. Like it seemed like she watched fucking like the Amityville Horror like one too many fucking times, you know, or fucking The Conjuring. Like there's a lot of stuff that she's talking about. I mean, okay. According to her, Ed and Lorraine Warren are her mentors. Or at least the dead one is. I don't know if they're both dead now, but, you know, when she started, one of them was still alive and one of them was dead.
I would not trust those motherfuckers as a fucking mentor.
Neither would I. They've been proven multiple times to be fucking hoax artists.
Maybe that's what they're mentoring her with.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's sad to see somebody with so much blatant. I mean, so far in this video, it's not too crazy so far, but we're only 4 minutes in, so it's gonna be a really long fucking reaction. But so far this one isn't too bad, but it's sad to see somebody that has so much misinformation that can be so easily Googled and looked up. Like, not, you don't even need to have like spiritual gnosis and like go into a ritual and actually ask a demon, like, you know, directly. You could just do a Google search, right? And you can figure out that 90% of everything that she's talking about is just bullshit. Like, there's no foundation to it. You can tell that she's never read, you know, a book on demonology. She's never actually investigated or looked into demonology.
Well, she doesn't need to, because she spent 1,000 years in hell. She knows all she needs to about demons. She spent thousands of years with them.
Oh, almost two.
Almost
1,800 years.
Oh wow! I thought it was 1,000.
No, it's 1,800 years. Yeah. Apparently, she got sexually assaulted by several of them repeatedly. You know, and I guess also Anton LaVey also sexually assaulted her in the astral plane.
Oh dear.
And I think like she thinks that like Jesus is her boyfriend. There is a video where she gets very romantic about Jesus.
Jeez, Melinda, save it for the OnlyFans.
At this point, I don't doubt that she has one. I'm just not looking for it. Such a confused woman. Let's keep going.
And what I would have done. And then when angels came and saved me from that situation, because it got very violent at that point too. Because even in my room during that experience, they had tried to take my soul. But thankfully, when I called out to Archangel Michael, it stopped. And I was able to wake up and I was fine again. But I'll never forget that moment. When everything was cleansed, we were back to normal. I'm having deja vu making this video, and I think the scary part about it is knowing that it's real.
Okay, we get what Archangel Michael looks like.
Knowing that people really are that targeted. It's a scary reality. It's horrifying. Knowing that that's what leads people to murdering their family members. Knowing that
Amityville Horror?
that one
Anyone?
moment could change your whole life, could change everything. And usually, primarily, they do this to get you to commit a horrible crime, because they
She's probably
want
picking her nose
that
during this
pain,
segment.
they want
So,
that
like, she's
suffering,
got
they
the
want that
Archangel
soul
Michael up
of
there.
either you or the victim, one or the other.
Or
For me,
reapplying the makeup.
recently,
Scratching a
the
bumhole.
past few nights ago, a demon came into my room, and it was from a demon worshiper who decided to put this entity into my vicinity, into my home. Despite that, I forgave this person, but what happened is more important to me. The information that I collected, the experience that I have overcome is more important to me. I discovered.
All right.
She talks about Archangel Michael and the angels rescued her from this possession. This is a massive misconception, right? Because everyone thinks that there's some sort of like war between angels and demons. No, there's not. There's not. It depends on the system that you look at, right? So we have the 72 demons of the Goetia, and they have an opposing Shem angel. But outside of that system, yeah, there's the Abrahamic stories, but you can work on the same thing with both an angel and a demon. Like, people do it. Like, personally, I don't do it, but you know, I've worked with angels and I've worked with demons, and obviously I have a preference, but this idea that there's this like opposition between them, that they fucking hate each other, like it's not real. It's that whole illusion of duality because people can't understand anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing about like people murdering their families. I've worked with demons for a long time, and I've never had any kind of like homicidal thoughts. You know, I've not been possessed, and I've not wanted to kill anyone so far. So at least,
Same.
yeah,
I think I'm pretty, you know.
yeah. It's they really don't put thoughts in your head.
No, and like another thing, I'm gonna add on to that, like going off track a little bit, but there's like another thing that I kind of want to mention. So, a lot of people talk about like when you work in the occult, especially in like demonology, and you work with demonic entities, like it begins to kind of affect the energy in the home in a negative way. And I can tell you straight up, as a father of a 10-year-old, and spending the majority of his life working with, you know, demonic entities.
You, not your son.
Exactly, me, not my son. Right. It never affected him. Right. It never, like, he never felt a certain way or anything like that. When he would come into, you know, my personal space, which is where my office was, and, you know, stuff like that, you know, I always had my altar on open display and stuff like that. And it, you know, he was never afraid of it, which is one thing that I'm very proud of. That, you know, he could be around that stuff and he just doesn't care. He doesn't look at it weird or like in fear or anything like that. It's just like, oh, okay, that's Dad's altar, you know, whatever. And he knows, you know, not to touch anything on it. So yeah, this idea that there's some type of like energetic effect, you know, when working with demons that makes you go crazy or causes psychosis or, you know, creates the people in your home to become ill, or it's bullshit. It really is bullshit. I mean, and if it does happen, it's more psychosomatic than it is anything else, right?
It's either that or you don't know what you're doing and you've let in something parasitic, which isn't actually what you wanted to be working with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely down with that. I guess I mean that does happen. I mean, I've always been. I've never had a negative experience, like doing a ritual, calling on a certain entity, things like that. But I mean, there's certain precautions, and when I say precautions, I'm not talking about like the popular like precautions, like fucking drawing a circle around myself and shit. Like that's not going to do anything. Honestly, like let's be completely honest with ourselves here. Do you honestly think a circle of salt's going to do anything? No, it's not. It's not. If anything, it's going to trap you in there with it. Like, you know, if anything. So, you know, when I say precautions, I'm talking about. So, for example, one thing that I'm very attentive on is the correct pronunciation of, you know, the entity that I'm working with. I'm pronouncing the name correctly, calling it out correctly. So like it irritates the piss out of me. People who say Belial. Just saying it irks me. It's not Belial. It's Belial. And a Google search will show you that. Again.
We are not sponsored by Google.
We're not, but I mean, Google's a good resource for some shit. Anyway,
be great if we were sponsored by Google. Fuck. But yeah, I mean, I ended up switching from Belial to Belial once you pointed it out. I was like, fair the fuck enough. So.
Well, it's where you run it. You're going to run into a lot of problems. Think of it this way: you ever like type in a website name and you type it in wrong, and then you get a random porn site that pops up, which is definitely not what you were looking for? Same thing.
Maybe you were.
I mean, nah, I wasn't, but you know, yeah, maybe somebody would be, but generally speaking, that's essentially the same thing, right? You're typing in the search, you know, this web address trying to get to something, and then something else pops up, right? You know, I've known quite a few people that have told me about situations where, you know, they're at a party or something, they're going to go put a song on, it's not on Spotify, they go look for it on YouTube, and they spell YouTube wrong, and YouPorn pops up. And it's like, sorry to hear that, bruh. But yeah, if you say the name wrong, you got a 50-50 chance, right? Like, so one that I always have a problem with is payment, right? For some reason, my brain always wants to say payment. It's payment. It's not payment, it's payment. So
the funniest thing about that was on your podcast overlay, you spelled payment wrong, so it's Pierman. I'm like, Wagwan Pierman!
yeah. So, like, I mean, ADHD, dyslexia, you know, it's a thing. I do think I have not been diagnosed, but I do think that I'm dyslexic to a certain degree, which is why, like, in a lot of things that I write, like, I get the vowels flipped.
Yeah, and I also comment on your lack of punctuation as well.
ADHD, I just don't give a shit. Like, it comes out as how it is in my head. So, like, there's no punctuation when I'm talking. So, like, it's just like, bleh, word vomit. So.
Yeah, right, we've gone off on a tangent. Let's keep watching.
Yeah, I mean, tangents are fine.
That this entity, his name is Belial. Belial is a fallen angel, one rank under Lucifer. He's second in command. That
Depending on
makes
the
him
source, yeah.
extremely powerful, extremely dangerous. And the reason why I know this is because he told me his name. It took me a while to remember. And also Archangel Michael, after I had recovered, he had told me about it too. When I was being possessed, it happened because the entity came into my room and overcame my soul and my body. He wanted me to talk about him. He wanted me to glorify his name, and I refused. At some point, they flipped my body over, him and other demons, and this was in sleep mode, when I was in sleep, and they put me in through the sleep paralysis that was very violent, and I was completely frozen. And then they flipped my body over violently, and
She go through sleep paralysis, or was she sleepwalking? Which is it? It seems like it's changing.
There's a bit of inconsistency there, Melinda. Fucking what? So Belial told you his name, so that means that you knew who he was. Like, you do know things can tell you their name and it not be true, right? Like, especially if it's parasitic. So if this event did happen, it was probably something fucking with you. Being like, yeah, hey, I'm Belial. Like, no, it wasn't. No, I want you to glorify my name. Why? Why does he need validation from you?
Well, and the thing is she's also saying that somebody sent Belial to her.
So why, in that case, would Belial have that motive of her? It's inconsistent. It's very inconsistent. There's, yeah.
And she's making it up like as she goes along.
And then all of a sudden, this Belial, he went on top of me, laid his body completely flat against mine, against my back, and then he slipped through my spine and through my neck and through my rectum. And some people may think that's ridiculous, but this is how they possess people. I don't know why through those three parts, but I think there's a reason. Through the rectum, it's connected to the root chakra. So this forces the grounding process of me having more control to stop. Through my spine, this also affects my other chakras. And then through the back of my neck,
the chakras
immediately stops my mind to have any control of my body, and to also continue to affect my third eye and my crown chakra. So I believe these are the 3 points for a specific reason. There was also a point where I felt like it was also going into my ears, like his being was going into my ears. It was really creepy. It was so uncomfortable, and at some point it was even painful. It actually felt...
Whenever I've dealt with a parasitic entity, I have felt pressure around my ears. It's like a pressure and a very low humming. which leads me further to believe that if this event did happen, it was parasitic. Ow.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I've never had anything like that happen to me. I'm just kind of like, no. I mean, it sounds like, I don't know, she spent like, it kind of sounds like when you go into a pool and you go underwater and then you come back up really, really fast. Like, that's kind of what it sounds like. And it's like somehow I think like she's at a pool party and she did that and she's like, oh, those would make a good video. Right now, the rectum thing, like, I mean, I don't know how you're getting water in your rectum. I mean, I don't know, Melinda. I mean, there are people that are into that, you know. I don't know. Maybe put that on your dating profile. That's bad.
Kind of like I was drowning in his energy. It felt like I was suffocating in his energy, that I couldn't, that like my energy, my aura couldn't breathe, even though I was still breathing. And then when that happened, that's when I could feel his energy take over my body. And then my body was no longer a part of me. My soul was out of my body and he took over my body. But at the same time, while I was still out on astral projection, I also felt as if my body was violently convulsing in a way where my neck and my body was moving violently. I mean, it really was violent. Like the way my body moved, I couldn't control it. Like I would go like this and I would go, it was really, really creepy. And I don't want to like try to replicate it. I can't, to be honest with you, because the movement was so unusual. And even though I was possessed, I actually knew what was happening. In some instances, in some moments, I knew it was happening. Granted, most people actually don't know that this is happening because they haven't mastered astral projection and they haven't.
So this is another thing that irritates me. There's always something that she says that like, I was able to do this because I'm this, and because most people can't do this thing that I do. Like, what does mastering astral projection have anything to do with you knowing whether or not you're being possessed, or you have spiritual mojo going up your ass? Like,
if I couldn't astral project, I wouldn't know that Belial was inside my arsehole.
Somehow I could just see in my head like Belial in the background just going,
yeah, right.
For fuck's sake.
Been able to meditate enough to really harness the consciousness awareness of what's happening to their body versus their soul. That's separate from the body with their astral body. And this is why I want to make this video.
Two nouns, not an adjective.
In hopes that maybe it helps education on the level of possession and how it works. I know firsthand what it's like. I went through it. I lived it. I experienced it twice. And each time, thankfully, by the grace of angels, I didn't need an exorcism because they had already managed to pull the entity out. So in a way, it was kind of an exorcism, but it wasn't like your typical religious one. Basically, they managed to pull the entity out of me, and they managed to command him to leave. But no.
I'm just curious that they pulled him out. Where did they pull him out from? I just have this image in my head of the Archangel Michael pulling on Belial's foot, trying to pull him out of her ass, like her bent over all doggy style. Yeah.
Right, Melinda, get on all fours to make it a lot easier.
Fucking Archangel. Out, damn you.
And then Michael goes, hey, Gabriel, I think we're going to need the pliers.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, that was good.
not just by a commandment of voice or the authority of God or Jesus. In fact, Yehoshua, Jesus wasn't there. Only certain archangels and higher throne angels, certain angels.
So, like, okay, so again,
Did she just say Jesus wasn't there? Isn't he her boyfriend?
yeah, exactly. Jesus was like, you know, Belial's, you know, taking advantage, and he's just like,
Melinda dumped that motherfucker.
right? He's like, yeah, you know, my homeboy Michael's gonna take care of it.
Jesus was at the club
Yep.
with his homeboys.
Yep, exactly. Hanging out with God, not giving a shit. You know, and so on a serious note, though, like, so she says on multiple points in the video that this doesn't have kind of like, you know, a religious connotation to it, like, but everything she's talking about is Bible based.
Yeah.
Like, again, it just says to me that she hasn't looked outside of like the sources that I think most people have on this stuff, like starting out, right? Like, so I don't know, and it's so sad. This thing's got 510 fucking likes and 7,000 views. Insane. For mostly information that can be debunked in 5 minutes. All right, let's see.
Angels were there. I don't know all the names of the hierarchy of angels. I'm still learning this, but what I adamantly remember is.
But if they were there, wouldn't they tell you? Like, I mean, you're learning. I mean, I'm sorry. If Belial's getting pulled out of my ass, right? And Michael's there, and Gabriel's there, and all this shit. And then after all day, they pull him out and they throw him off to the side and beat the shit out of old boy. And they're sitting there and they're trying to explain to you, like, oh yeah, like I'm this, that. I'm not going to forget that shit.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't remember who was there, like, please.
Right? It was a whole ordeal. Like, God sent the whole crew down, you know, like, you know, afterwards, Michael's like, damn, that was tough. You know, I need to go back to the gym.
I need a beer.
Right? Fucking hell.
Is that during the moment when I was possessed, they would rape me. Many different demons were raping me. And at some point, my legs would go up like this.
Well, I mean, he went up your asshole, so I think you done crossed that bridge. Like, I think, like, the initial aspect of the possession, I mean, you know, that's penetration, right? You know, by force, apparently. So, yeah, but, all right. I mean, the amount of times that apparently this woman has been sexually assaulted by demonic entities or just any entity she doesn't like or disagrees with. Like, I mean, she is like the worst version of like the Me Too movement, like that there possibly could be. And the only reason she's blaming like astral entities, infernal entities, is because she knows that no straight man in his right mind would touch her with a 10-foot fucking dick attached to another dick. Okay? It's just, you know, there's a certain level of crazy that as men, we just kind of go, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to pass.
Oh, dear. Yeah, the demonic Me Too movement.
All right, so apparently now her legs are going up, so let's see.
Is she still laying on her front, though? Because I'm pretty sure legs don't bend that way.
You know what? That's a good point. I think she is. I think she is still... I mean, she's laying on her front because Belial went up her ass, right? So...
I mean, to be fair, if she's possessed, possessed people do move in freaky ways, so...
Right? With breaking bones and shit like that. Yeah, I mean, so, I mean, just keep the image in your head, guys. Like, so she's laying on her front.
Or maybe she just does loads of yoga.
Belial's trying to go up the asshole. The Archangel Michael's got him by the ankle and trying to pull him out. He's calling down Gabriel because he needs him to grab the other foot. Because he can't do it by himself. And I guess while he's going up there, right, like Belial's little fucking demon tongue apparently, you know, is like doing its thing, and I guess she's feeling it because her legs are going up above her head.
And then it would fall back down. And when my legs went up, my butt would go up, and then it would fall back down. So my spine and my body was up, and then it would go back down. At some points, I was levitating. I remember this now. Like, I remember it pretty
Now
well.
she remembers.
How do you tell
Oh, I remember now.
someone that typically you don't? You usually just try to heal from it and move on. That's how I process it. But the way I also heal is by sharing my story, so that way, if you've experienced this, you're not hallucinating. This is a real thing and you're not alone. And the biggest thing
Please
that I
don't-
want to say is my sincere
Please
apology.
don't accommodate people's psychosis. Don't do that. Like they don't need you to tell them that they need Seroquel or something. Yeah, don't do that.
Oh.
I feel like I owe people an apology because I used to always believe adamantly that you can never be possessed if you know about it, that it isn't a true possession. Boy, was I wrong. I did not understand how it works.
Is that like you can't be sleepwalking if you don't know about it? Right? Like, I mean, it's like, you know, or you can't be sleepwalking if if you don't know about it. Like, you have to know you're sleepwalking. Which
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it's funny. She's like, I owe people an apology. It's like, yeah, you do, but not for this. Like, you've been really fucking mean to people. Like, mate, but no, I need to apologize because I was wrong about possession, and you're still wrong.
I mean, the original video that she reacted to of me, which I still have on my channel, she's taken hers down. I still have it. She said that people like me are the reason why evil exists, and reason why, like, she kind of like literally blamed me for like the reason why there's rape in war.
I was about to say, and that's why I love you, but then that sounded a bit, after you said rape and war, I was a bit like, oh.
Well, I mean, there's gods of war, right?
Yeah?
Right? I mean, Ares, right? He liked a good pillage.
The feminists are going to be so upset with us.
Oh. I'm tapping. I'm out. I can't. There's nothing I can say to respond to that. Probably. All right, let's keep going. Oh, for fuck's sake.
And I understand now, but I think that's the most disturbing part about it is not knowing from what I read, but knowing it from personal experience. Even when I was being possessed, I was violently saying these words almost like I was speaking backwards, but I actually don't think I was speaking backwards. It felt like I was speaking a different language that was not mine. I don't
I think she was gonna
have
say forwards.
video proof. I don't have any documentation to,
Is she
to
simple like
validate
that?
this. So really, you can leave this or take this however you want. Your judgment of me is not my concern. I'm just making this
Then why do you
video
react to it then?
without desire to convert you to whatever you deny or accept. I'm not trying to convert you to my personal beliefs or ideologies. My purpose, my desire in this.
I love how she says stuff like that, and like in the next sentence, like she does the complete opposite. She's like, I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not gonna judge anybody, but I'm gonna judge you. It's like, wait, what? It's like, wait, what? Like, okay, like how proving demons, if you see this, bro, we need to talk, man. Because the one thing, like, I've been reacting to this woman for a couple years now, sadly. I mean, she gives good content to react to. What can I say? But how it is that you got to the point where you were willing to work with this woman and do a collab, I will never understand. 10 minutes going through her videos, you have to sit there and be in absolute awe of the amount of bullshit that this woman talks, like in misinformation. And so let me make something abundantly clear, and I think we probably should have made this clear at the beginning. So yes, we're taking the piss out of Melinda horribly in this, and we will continue to do so throughout the video. But that's not the point. That's the entertainment value, but that's not the point. The point is the misinformation. The point is to shed light on misinformation, to shed light on things, to be like, wait, okay, that doesn't fit. This doesn't work. Because this woman has 52,000 fucking subscribers. Almost 10,000 people have watched this video. Easily 6,000 of which completely agree with her. Because for some reason, 6,000 people or 52,000 people are incapable of using fucking Google. Like, and that's all you need. Like, you don't need like a special book or years of research. You need 2.5 minutes and a keyboard with an internet connection. That is all you need. You can do that shit on your phone. And you will find out that easily, and being generous, I'm going to be generous here, 85% of everything she says is complete and utter fabricated horseshit. 85%.
I also just want to add as well, it's like, you know, people might think, oh, why are you being like, you know, horrible about her? Like, she's not a nice person. She's straight up not a nice person. Like, when she did a video reacting to you, she also did a video reacting to Sarah, that divination witch. Shout out to Sarah. She called you both dark occultists. I think with you it's quite fitting, but with Sarah, like, Sarah's so sweet, like, and just harmless. And it's like, why? And Sarah was responding to, so Sarah works with Hecate. And obviously Melinda spoke on Hecate, and Sarah was responding to it. Like, people have the right to respond to you, and it doesn't warrant you, like.
Oh, and it was so cute, because when I watched her video responding to Melinda, she was so afraid to put the video up. She was terrified to do a reaction because, like, she's such a bigger channel than me, you know. Like, and I was like, oh, you poor thing, like, you know. Not to mention the way that fucking Melinda pronounces shit just irritates me. Like, for the longest, we gave her so much shit. Well, the first video I reacted to was her tarot video, and she called them terror cards.
Terror.
Yeah, she couldn't say now she says tarot without a fucking problem, but before it's like terror. And then, like, when I watched briefly the video on Hecate, and she calls her Hecate, and it's like, she's not a Mexican beer, man. It's not Tecate. It's Hecate. Like, it's like she's not Mexican, man. Like, I mean, now if you want to do that pronunciation with Santa Muerte, yeah, I almost guarantee you she'd fuck that one up too. All right, let's keep it going.
Is for you to understand that if someone has these experiences and they come out and say this to you, please try so hard to not judge them and to listen. This is not easy to come out and say this. It's not easy. When a person comes out and shares and they feel, I think I'm being possessed, or I think I was possessed last night, it is not an easy task. Because the worst part about our society today is that we glorify the idea that angels and demons exist, but yet we condemn people and tell them they're crazy if they've ever encountered these entities. What? That part never makes sense to me. What I do remember the most, aside from all of that, is at the same time when I was being possessed and fighting for my body back, there was a situation where I do remember I told the entity, Belial, that I was willing to talk to him just to get him to stop if that was possible. So I was trying to compromise. At that point, I immediately was back on the astral realm. That's how I got there. That was when I came face to face with Belial. If you don't know who Belial is, like I said, a fallen angel, second in command past Lucifer.
Let's read this. Belial is derived from the Hebrew term Belial. See, you've literally written the pronunciation there, which means without worth. No, it means without master. Belial is described in the Dead Sea Scrolls as a devil demon who existed before Satan, known as the king of evil. Belial, fucking picking up her lingo. Belial is one of the most evil, who is deceptively beautiful in appearance and speaks with a soothing voice. He is dedicated to creating wickedness, guilt and perversion, fornication and lust. He does not tell the truth unless threatened, but he will tell you any lie to make you believe the truth with ease. How convenient. I've obviously been lied to by Belial for the last 6 years. Don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, just so much wrong with that. That's what you got on the background of Belial.
Mm-hmm.
I know where she got this info from. There's this channel. I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called, but he does these long videos on demons. He always refers to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the videos are very much about depicting the evil nature of demons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's where she got this info from. She obviously found information that supported her narrative. She deliberately didn't look elsewhere. And also she said, oh, this is what's wrong with our society. It's just I can think of a lot of things fucking wrong with society, but that's not one of them. There's bigger things going on. Okay, so we're about at the halfway mark now. I think this is a good point to cut halfway where, she's given this little sort of interlude on Belial. So yeah, if you want to go check out part 2, head over to Atiustade and go watch part 2. And I will see you guys next Saturday. Goodbye for now.